Here's a fully developed, emotionally engaging story based on your prompt, structured to fit roughly a 15-minute YouTube reading, with cinematic imagery, emotional depth, challenges, and a satisfying resolution. The rain was relentless that night, hammering down in sheets that blurred the edges of the city. Eleanor stood under a flickering streetlight, her long chestnut hair plastered to her face, mascara running in dark streaks down her cheeks. Her dress, once elegant, now clung to her in sodden folds. She shivered, not just from the cold, but from the weight of the day's heartbreak. Across the wet pavement, a man approached, his worn denim jacket clutched in one hand. His dark eyes were cautious, curious, hesitant, but there was a kindness there that Eleanor hadn't felt in months. "Here," he said softly, holding out the jacket. "Take it." For a moment, she hesitated, unsure if she could trust anyone after everything that had gone wrong. But the storm seemed to echo inside her chest, a tempest of fear, loneliness, and longing for something that felt almost forgotten. Slowly, she stepped forward, accepting the jacket. The warmth of the fabric against her soaked dress was a small comfort, but enough to make her heart begin to stir again. The man, David, was a single father. He had spent years building a quiet life for himself and his young son, Alex, who slept soundly upstairs while his father worked double shifts to make ends meet. David had resigned himself to an arranged marriage, a union of convenience meant to secure stability for both families. He had convinced himself it was the practical choice, that love could wait. But as he watched Eleanor, drenched and trembling in the rain, something in him stirred, a flicker of hope he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. Eleanor wasn't looking for a hero. She was just trying to survive a night that had gone horribly wrong. She had spent years burying her own dreams beneath responsibilities and expectations. A demanding job, a family who depended on her, and a past relationship that had left her cautious and wary had taught her that life was best lived carefully, without leaps of faith. But standing there, soaked to the bone, facing a man who offered something, anything, without judgment, she felt something she hadn't in a long time, possibility. Over the next few weeks, their lives collided in ways neither of them expected. Dinner conversations at David's modest apartment became a sanctuary from their busy, stressful worlds. Eleanor discovered the little quirks of Alex's routine, the way he insisted on reading the same bedtime story in a sing-song voice, the careful way he lined up his toy cars. David saw Eleanor's resilience and quiet courage, her ability to laugh even when life felt heavy, her insistence on facing problems rather than hiding from them. But the road was far from smooth. Eleanor struggled with the reality of David's world, Alex's attachment to his father, the routines and responsibilities of a single-parent household. She had her own fears too, vulnerability, heartbreak, and the shadow of her past that whispered she was always too late, always too flawed. David, meanwhile, faced his own doubts. Could he risk his son's stability for the unpredictable, messy path of love? Could he allow himself to want something more than what he had meticulously planned for years? Their challenges culminated one rainy night, eerily reminiscent of their first encounter. A fight erupted, not about love, but about fear. Eleanor accused David of holding back, of putting duty above desire, and David countered that he couldn't jeopardize the life he had built for Alex. The words cut, sharp as the wind-driven rain outside, and yet, in the silence that followed, each of them realized that their fear had been masking the truth. They wanted the same thing. They wanted a family, a partnership, a love that didn't ask them to sacrifice who they were. It took time, patience, and vulnerability. David learned to let go of rigid plans, to embrace uncertainty for the chance of real happiness. Eleanor learned to trust, to allow herself to lean into love rather than shield herself from it. Slowly, they built a life together, one filled with the messy, beautiful reality of shared mornings, laughter spilling over dinner tables, tears wiped away with tender hands, and promises kept not out of obligation, but out of choice. The story came full circle one evening as they walked home from a late dinner, Alex skipping ahead of them, rain once again threatening from dark clouds above. David reached out, took Eleanor's hand, and in that small, ordinary gesture, they found something extraordinary, the courage to embrace love on their own terms. No longer an arrangement, no longer just duty, but a decision born from their hearts. In the end, Eleanor and David learned that love wasn't about perfection, it was about resilience, trust, and the courage to open oneself to the possibility of joy even in life's storms. And sometimes, just sometimes, the most unexpected meetings, like a man offering a jacket in the rain, can change everything. If you want, I can also condense this into a narrated script version specifically timed for 15 minutes on YouTube, with natural pauses, dramatic beats, and cues for cinematic visuals. It would read like a full audiovisual experience. Do you want me to do that next?